George, welcome.
Thanks, Mike.
Your first one in the big chair. That's the big chair you got right there.
Feels good.
Do you feel settled in?
I do. I feel settled in. I feel good as we are, where we are as a team, and excited to see, what we put on the field.
You inherited a 5-11 team, so expectations maybe should be, there's not a whole lot of Super Bowl talk here, but at the same time, you didn't tear it down. You didn't take the tear it down to build it back up approach. You brought back Vaughn at a big ticket. Justin Simmons, record contract. Shelby got good money. You invested in Chubb. Talk about your strategy when you got here as far as making the Broncos a winner again.
Yes, so when I got here, analyze the roster, the offense, was really talented. They were young. The way I looked at it, they had a young offense. They had some pieces in place, talented receiving crew. The backs, I thought we added a back or two. The offensive line had some talent, had some chemistry. Tight ends, had a couple of good tight ends, and young quarterback. So I thought we were just young on offense, and they were just going to get better. Probably didn't need a lot of additions, but I thought, just another year in the system, an off-season program, they would improve. Now defense, they had so many guys hurt last year. So I thought if we could bring back some of their core guys that were injured with the core guys we have with Justin and guys like Kareem and Josie Jewell and Chubb, and I just felt like we had enough players where we didn't need to tear it down. I thought if we added the right players, we could take that next step. And you mentioned expectations. We have high expectations. Everyone in this building has high expectations. We don't want to just, we're not packing it in. We want to win. And we feel like we will win.
As far as that goes, what positions do you think you might still have to address eventually? It looks like, I know you tried to get Jalen Phillips in the draft, edge rusher, maybe a little thin. You're not thin at cornerback anymore. How do you look at the roster right now?
Yeah, on defense, we don't have any glaring holes. We could add some depth. Those guys aren't falling off trees, pass rushers. We do like Malik as a third pass rusher. We drafted Jonathan Cooper. So we do feel like we have some depth there. Just things change as you get into training camp. Guys get injured. So that's kind of when you make your moves. We're always looking for upgrades, obviously. But typically you make, those upgrades are in the bottom, the bottom 10, bottom 20 of your roster this time of year. Because every team has 90. It's hard to go get guys. But we're looking. I don't feel like we have any glaring holes right now.
The Aaron Rodgers topic, which is now settled, I think, which, the perception out there was that you were trying to get Aaron Rodgers every day, tweaking your trade offers. What was the reality? How involved were you with that whole deal?
I would just say we can't speak on that. He is on another team. I've said this before. We look at everything, every position. We're always looking out there. We're going to be in every trade. We're going to be in every discussion. And I've said all along, we like our quarterbacks. We're going to go to battle with our quarterbacks. We're having a great competition with Drew and Teddy. They're doing all the right things, and so we're comfortable with those guys and excited for those guys to get out here and compete and help us.
Explain why you brought in Teddy Bridgewater.
I just thought we were really young in the quarterback room, and Drew's young, and Rip is young, and I just felt they needed a veteran presence, a guy who could play, and everyone kind of forgets about Teddy. 2 years ago he was 5-0 for New Orleans. He got paid over $20 million a year, 30-something guaranteed. So there were teams last year that thought he could be a potential franchise guy. Early in our career in Minnesota, we thought he was going to be a franchise guy, but he's a pro. He's very accurate. He moves the team, very sharp. So we thought for the value we got for Teddy, it was a no-brainer.
You got this job, coach already in place with Vic Fangio. What do you see in your first head coach for the Broncos?
Yeah, Vic has been great. I think we've developed a great partnership. He's a great sounding board for me. I'm a sounding board for him. We spend a lot of time together. We don't always agree. We've had some tough conversations, but that's what it's all about. You're not going to agree about everything, but I like the way he goes about his business. He works. I think he has a good connection with the players. Obviously, he's a defensive genius, and so it's been great working with Vic.
George, appreciate it.
Thanks,
Good
Mike.
luck this year.